And of course, if we are seriously looking for dull, the best place to start is the board of directors, right? As Gary Hamel, the great business strategist, said, where are you likely to find, he said, the bottleneck starts at the top of the bottle. Where are you likely to find people with the least diversity of experience, the largest investment in the past, and the greatest reverence for industry dogma? At the top. If I had more time, I would show you the slide that I normally use at this point in my presentations. It's written in purple on a black background, and it says, want to see my porn collection? And my porn collection consists of photographs of boards of directors of Fortune 500 companies torn from the back of annual reports. You know what a board looks like in the United States, right? 20 members. 18 of them are of one category called incredibly old white males who are mostly famous for having been famous long ago. There is one woman, she is the human resources executive, and there is one African American who's the corporate communications officer. Some companies flip the African American and the woman. Some companies try to get away with it on the cheap and hire an African American woman so they don't have to go all the way to 2. I am not into quotas. But I say one thing, and I'll say it again later on. If the board of directors and the executive committee bears no resemblance whatsoever to the market being served, something seriously stupid is going down. Yes, applause is called for. I mean, we've come a long way. 8 of the Fortune 500 CEOs are now women, up from 1. Well, we'll hold your applause. I said 8 out of 500. And so I'm not into quotas. I say 10 by 2050 or all hell breaks loose. Women rule. No issue. This is hardly even worth bothering with. It's so obvious. Business Week magazine, in a special section, said, as leaders, women rule. New studies find that female managers outshine their male counterparts in almost every measure. I will say to our male colleagues who are here, it's not quite as bad as it looks. The principal study that was evaluated, leaders were evaluated on 20 different dimensions. Women outscored men with statistical significance on 18, but we tied on the other 2, man. And so you got to start somewhere. Judy Rosner, a University of Southern California professor who has studied this topic for years, wrote a marvelous book called America's Competitive Secret Women Managers. Women's strengths, she says, match the new economy's requirements. Women tend to link rather than rank workers, favor an interactive, collaborative leadership style, believing that empowerment beats top-down decision-making, sustain fruitful collaborations, are comfortable with sharing information, see redistribution of power as victory, not surrender, favor multidimensional feedback, value technical and interpersonal skills, individual and group contributions equally, readily accept ambiguity, honor intuition as well as pure rationality, are inherently flexible, and appreciate cultural diversity. Ain't a bad list, is it? Now, I'm not arguing to my male colleagues that we are all total schmoes on all of these dimensions, nor that women are geniuses on all of these dimensions. What I am saying, as a statistician would say, is that there is something called a central tendency, and women are more likely to have these attributes than males are, and it is a set of attributes that matches the economy. Look, back to my old man and that 41 years in the same office, right? In the world of the past, things were stable, and stable hierarchies are brilliant devices for controlling things in stable environments, right? It used to be that when you were on a project team, it was with the same 17 people you'd worked for the last 17 years. Now, if you're on a 17-person project team, whether it's finance or whether it's new products, the odds are the 17 people work for 14 different companies, come from 3 different continents and 11 different countries. And the ability to issue an order and have anybody listen is approximately 0 with no rounding error. And it takes a different set of traits. But at least we're Americans and we can be proud of how well we do on this women's thing. Marie Wilson, in an article called Closing the Leadership Gap in a very scholarly magazine called Foreign Affairs, internationally, the United States ranked 60th in women's leadership, behind Sierra Leone, but we tied with Andorra. I mean, that's pretty damned awful, isn't it? Now, there is a little bit of good news, I would say. Large numbers of women in the United States in particular, as many of you in this room know better than I, have continued to see their heads smashed into glass and stronger material ceilings. But starting 10 or 15 or 20 years ago, women almost as one in this country rose up and said, "Go to hell, I never wanted to run a steel mill anyway." And so women are now starting their own businesses at a rate that exceeds men by a factor of 7. For every new male-started business, there are 7 women-started businesses. Net result at this stage of the game in this country, most underreported business story in the nation, there are 10.1 million women-owned businesses in the United States, employing 28 million of our fellow Americans and bringing in $3.6 trillion in revenue, meaning, and you could win a couple of beers at the bar on this one, the revenue from American women-owned businesses is larger than the gross domestic product of Germany. Now that is fabulous.